What's up, everybody? It's your boy Rashad Buie. Consider hitting that like and subscribe button as I upload videos on a weekly basis covering the hottest topics in sports, especially if it is OU related. This is Ballin' with Buie. The national championship is finally set in men's college basketball. The Final Four concluded with some victories that I expected. Neither happened the way that I thought they would happen, but let's talk about it. Baylor was able to knock off Houston 78-59. It was never close. I believe Baylor was up by 20 at halftime, or pretty close to it. I can't remember the exact number, but Baylor wiped Houston. Houston never was able to hang close with Baylor throughout the entirety of the game. And Jared Butler for Baylor popped off like he always does. I mean, you kind of expect it at this point. But Baylor advances to the national championship, I believe, for the second time in program history. I expected Baylor to be there, and I expected them to get all of their wins fairly easily. I didn't expect them to beat Houston to the manner that they did. You beat a team by nearly 20 points in the Final Four. I mean, that's kind of scary if you're their opponent in the championship game. But let's talk about their opponent, Gonzaga, UCLA. UCLA almost pulled off a historic, not only upset, but a historic run. They went from a play-in game to the Final Four and almost made it to the national championship. They ended up losing 93-90 in overtime. They were down 88-90, and UCLA was able to tie it up in OT, and then Suggs hit a shot from just past half court at the buzzer, banked it in to give Gonzaga the win. It might be the game of the tourney. I can't think of a better game so far, just because of the way it ended. But UCLA, still props to you. You almost pulled it out. You almost came through to pull off one of the biggest wins in maybe tournament history, potentially. But Gonzaga was able to get the win, keep that undefeated streak rolling, and advance to the national championship, where I thought they would be. Now the question is, who's going to win? And I think this is going to be a very good game. I really hope it is not a blowout either way, because that would just be devastating. I hope that both teams show up to play, and I hope it is a tightly contested game throughout until the end of it. With that being said, I picked Baylor to win the national championship at the beginning of the tournament, and I'm still rolling with them. I think Baylor's going to be able to pull it out. Although Gonzaga is a very good basketball team, that's why I think it's going to be a very close game. I cannot imagine either team blowing out either team. I just cannot imagine that. Baylor shoots the ball very well from three-point range, and Gonzaga has tons of weapons. I think it's going to be a very good game. Like I said, games I believe at 8:20. Not 100% sure, but I know it's around there somewhere. But expect a lot of scoring. Expect high scoring game. Timmy and Suggs are going to be the two that Baylor's going to have to figure out how to slow down. And from the flip side, Gonzaga, they're going to have to figure out how to slow down Butler. We'll see if either of those things happen. Maybe everyone just pops off and we got a very high scoring game. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. If I had to put a score to it, I would probably say, I don't know how much I think Baylor can win by. And the fouling at the end of the game is always tricky, because you always get a couple points there or lose a couple points there. But I'm going to roll the Baylor Bears over Gonzaga. Gonzaga's favorite, I believe, by 4.5 right now. Could change by the time tip-off happens. But I got Baylor winning 80-78. And I'm going to stick with that. Baylor Bears 80-78 over Gonzaga to get the national championship and bring it to the Big 12. So we'll see what happens. I'll catch y'all then. Deuces.